I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, WESU Middletown. It's Pint of Comics, Sir John and Johnny Ganache with you on Cinco de Mayo.
Warn me next time. I almost said a bad word.
Oh, no dump button action today, that's for sure. Oh, boy. So it's been a packed weekend. We had a big day, Free Comic Book Day yesterday, hanging out at a friend's shop, Boom Tube Comics. And today we're keeping in the comics industry idea with our guest tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Our third-time returning guest, the creator of Arsenic Lullaby. Check him out at arseniclullaby.com. And let's just say maybe don't have the kids with you right when you're checking that out. Scout it first, and then say, hey, okay, let's figure out which kids can look at this and which kids can't. It's Doug Paszkiewicz. Doug, what is happening, man?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
How are you, man?
It's been a long winter, fellas.
Yeah, we're
long winter. There ain't much left of me, but I'm here.
You were at a couple of shows recently, though, right?
I was at one show. I was at Gem City Comic Con.
Yep.
And where was that? What's Gem City? Is that Seattle or?
That's Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, Dayton, Ohio.
I think John has a song when it comes to Dayton, Ohio.
Do I have one?
Wasn't it the
Oh, Surf City Dayton? Yeah. On our old podcast, our other host used to refer to like Ohio as way out west.
Way out west.
Out west.
Yeah.
So I came up with a song, Surf City Dayton. Oh man,
That's out in Cherokee territory, boys. You don't want to go that far.
So Doug, what is new, man? What's going on? What have you been up to?
Oh, just trying to put myself back together. Just trying to get through the winter.
We got to figure that at least the beginning of the winter, well, maybe not beginning, was pretty good for you, being a misplaced. You don't live in New England, but New England Patriots won again, right? So that had to be pretty good for you.
That was good. That was the bright spot. Yeah, the winners keep winning. I love it. Love it.
It's been a rough winter up your way, I guess. A lot of snow, a lot of activity with the weather.
A lot of no sunshine.
Oh wow.
You go into the holidays without a family, and then you get to sit and not see the sun for another 4 months.
And you to refresh our listeners' memory, you are where again? I know you're out in the Midwest, but where are you?
I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh wow, that's
so about 90 miles out of Chicago. Yeah.
Cold, snowy,
Okay.
snowy, and cheesy.
Yeah, I just fight off the seasonal affective disorder for about 4 months, and then try to regroup.
Now, do you ever say to yourself at some point, maybe it's time to get out of the Midwest when you have winters like that?
Yeah. See, but the problem is, I'm working on I've got half a calendar, because 4 or 5 months of the year, I'm just fighting off depression. It's hard to get anything done. So really, I only have about 7 months to work with compared to everyone else.
So
you
basically
hard to uproot.
You basically almost live your life on the old pre-Roman calendar, where October was the last month, and there was only 8 months in the year, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's laughing at me because I don't have as much calendar as they do.
Well, that just means you're a little bit older than everyone, a little bit wiser.
There you go, wiser.
Yeah. Is that how it works? Because I don't feel any wiser.
I don't know either.
I haven't learned anything.
Well, I mean, you got out to the show, though. Was the show at least a little bit of a reprieve? Did you have a good time? Good show?
Yeah, it was fun. It was good recharging the batteries and seeing fans and having people tell you you're great. That's always good.
See, I like that about you, Doug. You're not one of those guys like pretentious guys that says like, oh no, when people say that to me, it doesn't affect me. Everybody likes to be told that people like them. Is that right?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah,
of course it does. Well, and actually, here's the problem though with being an illustrator. Okay, I'm working in solitary. I don't have coworkers. I don't have anybody to interact with. And then I go to shows where people tell me I'm awesome. And that's the only interaction I have with the human human population that's turning me into a dreadful human being.
So
Really.
you're getting high on your own accolades?
Yeah, I don't even know how to have a normal conversation where I'm not being interviewed. Like, I don't know how to just talk about and listen to what other people have to say about their lives. It's foreign to me. Wait, how come you're not asking me about my project? What is this? What's going on here?
Well, that's next.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get to that, Doug. So when you're that actually leads me to, I guess, an interesting question. You work in solitary, you say, but do you have anybody in your life, like when you're sitting at the table and you're putting something out for Arsenic Lullaby, particularly Arsenic Lullaby? Do you have anybody you bounce ideas off of, or do you have anybody that you show something to, or do you rely completely on, I think this is funny, or I think this works, and that's what's happening?
I mostly rely on myself, but there are people, if I'm stuck on something, I'm not quite sure how to steer a joke or that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a handful of people I'll buzz, pick their brain on. You know, the book is unique because it's just what I find funny.
Right.
And then theoretically it's niche, so the other people who are like-minded will also find it funny. So I don't dump anything or keep anything based on what anyone else has to say. But if I'm stuck on how do I want to structure this, what about this is exactly the punchline, and how do I spin that? There's people I'll go to with that from time to time.
Now, without getting, I guess, into it, because that might be pushing it, and we'll get into what Arsenic Lullaby is about in a minute. But your humor and Arsenic Lullaby can be, I guess, described as a little risque. You know, maybe a little bit line pushing. Well, has there ever been anything
it's not
that
like a lot of nudity?
No. I don't mean risque that way. I just mean,
it's dark.
It's dark. Very good word. Okay, it's dark. Have you ever come up with a story, even if it was just a one-page little stinger or a story that you ended up putting aside and saying, yeah, like that might, like Super Dark Doug came out, or?
Oh, I'd want to see that.
No, not really. There's a little bit of stuff that's really dark that I can't quite get the punchline right on. I can't quite spin it right. So I'll pull it because of that. Because if you get into really dark stuff, like you get into, say, Holocaust jokes or something like that.
Yeah.
It better be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't put out a kind of funny Holocaust joke. If you put out a joke about the Holocaust, it better be so funny that everyone laughs in spite of themselves.
Yeah.
Because then they're not going to come at you because they know damn well that they laughed at it. So when I get into the real dark stuff, I won't pull it because it's dark. I'll pull it because it's not funny enough.
Right.
Okay. All right.
There's a Holocaust joke I have that I like, but I've never done it because I can't quite get it across what's funny about it to my satisfaction, to where I know it's going to be clear, boom, that's the punchline. That's pow. I can't quite get the spin on the curveball right, so it's that's something I'll just leave.
All right. Well, yeah, maybe someday you'll crack it and we'll get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I could explain it, but
well, if
probably not the best idea.
Well, yeah, and if you feel that it's not funny,
we don't want to. You know what you could do though? You could email it to me and John.
Yeah, there you go.
And then it'll be our own private little thing.
Right, and that's one I went to Mike Bobbitt's a comedian buddy of mine, and I went to him with it, and he couldn't quite. It's like, it's not quite hitting. Like he understood what I was getting across, but he couldn't either figure out how to put that in visually so it conveys what you're trying to say.
Oh yeah, that's like you said, that's either going to get a laugh or it's dangerous territory. So you're probably smarter in consulting someone and then taking their advice. And if they can't crack it, if you got another good comedic mind can't crack it, then you're in good shape not doing that.
Right. And that's sort of the tough thing about this medium is you don't have timing and you don't have sound.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So, there's jokes, like in my head, it's funny, and if this is animated, I could make it funny, but without the sound, without the actual timing, it's hard to convey what I'm trying to get across.
And you did do the animated teaser or the DVD at one point. I guess it was a promo, not a promo, but a pilot.
Yeah.
And is that just a thing dead in the water, or are you still working on that?
I'm still working on it. I've given about another 30 minutes of it. half done, but there's only so many weeks on the calendar.
Yeah.
I got to keep the lights on. You know?
Right. And you haven't actually sold it yet to anybody, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, at least you're still working on Arsenic Lullaby, which is
Yeah. So it'll find a home at some point.
Well, it's going to find a home in my place. I can tell you that much.
When you go to a con like Gem City out there in Surf City, Dayton, when you're there, and again, knowing that what your creation is Arsenic Lullaby, you obviously have worked on other things too. Do you get a lot of kids and parents coming over to your booth where you have to kind of go before you open that up? Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I do. Because I have a cartoony style and kids are drawn to it. So, and then parents are only half paying attention because they're at a comic book convention. The kids dress like Superman. They're only, they're just sort of there.
Right.
So the kid's picking up the book, and I got to go, whoa, hold on a second here.
They're not ready to meet Voodoo Joe.
Yeah. Where's Mom, youngster? Where's Mom and Dad? And then, Mom and Dad will come over and go, oh, he watches The Walking Dead, it'll be fine.
No.
You really, it won't. Nah, he likes horror movies, yeah, but I don't, look, just trust me on this. You want to read it first.
Have you ever handed someone that book and they look at it and go, thank you?
Yeah. They appreciate that I headed the kid off at the pass. Because I'm not looking to sell books to people who aren't going to appreciate them.
Right.
I could sell books to 5-year-olds all day long, but that kid's not going to spread any word of mouth for me. He's not going to get all his classmates interested in it. So I really only made $5 instead of 50.
Right. And have you ever found that the parents, when they're flipping through it, end up buying it for themselves?
Yeah, that happens a lot. And occasionally they'll go, he's fine with it. And they'll give it to the 5-year-old. And I'll go, okay, whatever.
It's your kid, man.
Yeah.
Now
I don't live here. Do whatever you want, man.
See you later, Dayton. It's your problem now.
Yeah, good luck. See you later. I get my snake oil carton. Yeah, let's go. On to the next town.
Cures what ails you, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Arsenic Lullaby for everybody.
Right, there you go, and off we go, yes.
Have you gotten to the point yet where, now I know you don't do many shows, so I guess this is kind of, it narrows it down to a lesser percentage of possibility, but have you ever had an Arsenic Lullaby cosplayer? Has anybody ever come to you, dressed like Voodoo Joe or what was it?
Yeah, once or twice I've had guys in like cardboard Voodoo Joe masks.
Really? Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I want to see a Baron von Donut. That's what I want to see.
I had a Voodoo Joe with a zombie fetus on his shoulder once. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Are you right now currently working on like a next volume of Arsenic, or what's in the pipe right now?
Two things are in the pipe. I'm going to try and get as much done in the next year as I possibly can, because I think a comic book crash is coming. So I think the window of opportunity is starting to slide shut, so I'm going to put out as much as I can. So I've got Arsenic Lullaby story, and I also have sort of a closer to PG-13 book that I've been wanting to do that I'm going to try and get that out.
Okay. And what this crash of comics that you're bringing up? I know we've talked about it occasionally here and there, and you've done a few blog posts about it. But for our listeners and everyone that might be interested in, what's your opinion of that?
Well, I like to survey the field. I don't like getting caught flat-footed. So I'm always trying to look ahead as much as I can. And what we have right now, we've got stores. We've got X number of comic book stores, right?
Yep.
That are staying in business, and how many of them can take a 5% loss and still stay in business?
Yeah.
Probably maybe 75% if we're lucky.
Maybe.
So we've had 10 years of comic books being the king of pop culture. You know, king of all pop culture is comic books. And these stores are keeping their head above water with that margin. And now Avengers Endgame has come up, and there will be an inevitable sink in interest in comic book properties. And then these stores won't have that free publicity, you know, and then what? Then what happens?
Do you equate so the movies obviously are the king of pop culture, and they're based off the comics, but do you personally equate the movies doing well to people going to the stores, or no?
I don't see how it can be separated.
I can, as a former retailer.
Sure, hey, haven't had a whole lot of feedback from retailers that was contradicting me, so I'm happy to hear it. Give me some hope here.
I'll be honest. I mean, my information is 20 odd years old at this point.
When John was a retailer, the biggest comic book movie was Spawn. So
great.
Barbed wire.
What?
Even worse.
Barbed wire, the blind leading the blind over here.
I pushed the hell out of that movie, and I got maybe one person in going, "Oh, there's a barbed wire comic." But even with the Batman, the Tim Burton Batman movie, there was no big influx of sales from anyone coming off the street from seeing the movie. It just has never really happened, and I can guarantee at this point you're not seeing any more than a 5% increase in foot traffic to your store to look at comics.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm thinking more along these lines, though. We haven't had much of an increase, but we also haven't had much of a drop. And, there's a law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
People start to outgrow comics, or they forget them out for a while, or bills come up, they have less disposable income. And nowadays you've got Netflix, you've got a million other things competing for the entertainment dollars. So I think more than these movies bringing in new readers, they're keeping the old readers interested.
That much is certain.
Yeah, so I think it's been fighting the law of diminishing returns. It's been combating that, and now we won't have that. Now it's just comic books without that publicity versus everything else you could be doing with your $20.
Yeah.
As a comic pro, I guess a question for you, Doug, is we've talked about this in the show before, is that you said, when you were growing up, you were a comic reader as a kid. But now, at this point in your life, are you someone that goes to the comic shop weekly, or are you someone that still picks up certain titles weekly, or have you completely gotten? Are you kind of like what you're saying? Has your interest in it kind of weaned to the point where you're only maybe reading old stuff at this point?
Yeah, I haven't bought a new comic since. Let me think. Secret Invasion.
Oh, wow.
When was that?
So that was, almost 10 years ago?
12 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not the best example because I'm dealing with comic books in my head 40, 50, 60 hours a week, so it's not really...
Oh, no, I was just curious. I was just curious where you were. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll read old stuff because when I'm reading a comic book, I'm mostly trying to pick up techniques and dissect what people have done and learn from it.
Right.
And so I haven't quite tapped out that wealth of knowledge from old books. And when I do pick up a new book, there ain't much there that I can...
Not much doing it for you.
There's not much I'm impressed by where I'm like, wow, how did he do that? Because that is cool. How did he pull that off? Let's break this page down here and see what's what.
And that's mainly on the physical artistry of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The storytelling aspect of it. There's nothing where I'm going, hey, that's new. Hey, how did he get my eye from here to there? How did he convey that idea?
Right.
There isn't a whole lot. It's just a lot of, this might as well be a movie poster with thought balloons on it.
Boy, do I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Hey, look, another splash page. Fantastic. Hey, look at this cover with all the heroes running forward looking cool. This cover could be any of the last 50 issues, and it wouldn't matter.
I swear he just had a quote exactly from what I said to you yesterday.
He sounded like you. Yeah, yeah. We hung out yesterday. We have a friend that owns a shop, and we did some live stuff there yesterday. And actually, I wanted to bring this up, Doug, because this is something that, as being friends with you on Facebook, and obviously Arsenic Lullaby is your creation, but you still do other work. And on that free comic book table yesterday, there was a title that made me think immediately of Doug Paszkiewicz. It was a free comic book day, Casper. Oh. Can we talk about Casper real quick?
Yeah, we can talk about Casper if you want.
I found this to be one of the coolest things. You know, I go on Facebook a lot for Pine and Comics, but for personal reasons, I'm not on it too much. But I really love seeing your stuff pop up because it kind of showed fan community and what people will do to get something they want. So, Doug, do you want to kind of explain to everybody what you were trying to do with Casper?
Well, long and short of it, I was trying to do something for Casper the Friendly Ghost.
You wanted...
I was genuinely interested in doing that.
And your art really kind of... It would work with the character.
Yeah, my art style works for it. The type of storytelling I do works for it. I loved it as a kid. As an adult, I looked back at those early Casper books from Harvey Comics, and the storytelling is just spot on, perfect technique every time.
There you go.
So I really genuinely started it because I wanted to get some work on a Casper comic, and it turned into a really nutty, kind of mind-blowing fiasco.
It was a campaign because what ended up happening was your fans, and you're not the easiest guy to interact with on Facebook because you have a rule, and I've never broken the rule because I see what happens to rule breakers, but you don't let people comment on your posts, which is fine. But so, you respect your fans, but you say right there, we're not going to comment on posts because we're not going to have these dumb arguments that happen on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
But you actually kind of did a call to arms, and I think in one day, I don't remember how many hundreds of your fans were bombarding the company. Who we'll keep them nameless. We'll keep them nameless. The company that produces
because they're producing comics based on.
All right, American mythology.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to find out who they are.
They have their Twitter page, and your fans were just bombarding them with, let Doug have Casper. and I did. I wanted to ask you. I guess the next time we talked to you, just now, and you answered it. I was like, what's his obsession with Casper? And so it was a childhood thing for you. You enjoyed those stories, and you found them to be basically really well done.
Yeah, really well done, and it's a property that shouldn't be just wallowing in obscurity.
Right.
Like it currently is under the guidance of American mythology. It's just, Casper the Friendly Ghost has been around since 30s, I think, 40s at least.
40s.
Major motion picture at one point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how many you can't say Casper the Friendly Ghost to anybody and not have them know who you're talking about.
Right.
And the book is selling like 5,000 copies.
If.
I mean, that's not good for the industry. We don't have a hell of a lot of kids' books, gateway drugs into this market. So we can't be having properties like this just sitting there spinning their wheels in the mud.
Yeah.
So on another aspect, I thought it was an instance where I could do some good. Hey, this is an industry that has helped me quite a bit. I've made my bones here. Maybe I can give back a little bit, and it'd be fun. And like you said, a lot of my fans thought the same thing, which I wasn't really prepared for. I kind of thought it would get blown off, or they'd laugh it off, or whatever. But they're like, "No, hell yeah, let's do this." And the publisher's page on Facebook is basically tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't even know why they have one, to be honest with you. They don't know how to use it. When they do use it, it's just, I don't know, they think it's 2005 still, and all you have to do is post a picture, and that's that. But you can't do that anymore. You have to be a spectacle in and of yourself. There has to be a reason to go to your page that's interesting, besides, this is what's coming out this month, here's the diamond order code. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's no one's gonna give a heck. I changed the bad word to heck there.
Thank you, Doug.
No one's gonna give a heck, mother hecker. You gotta bring it. You gotta bring it. So, yeah, it's basically, it went from tumbleweeds to just a giant stream of let Douglas do Casper.
and
just blew up their page, and I have a Facebook page, and you can see the interactions. There's little grids and stuff, and I know they saw a spike, the likes of which they've never seen since they opened the page. And I don't know what was in their head to not go with that. I really don't.
Did they ever contact you at all?
I contacted them once before I started all this, and they said, "Hey, we like to, basically we like your stuff, but no thanks." And then I contacted them again to go, "Hey, just to be clear here, I know I normally do horror stuff, but this is not a joke. I'm 100% sincere about this." And they didn't respond to that at all. And that's when I set the dogs loose.
And after the dogs went wild, did they tell you that you couldn't have Casper, but they would let you do their Three Stooges book, or
they blocked me?
They blocked me.
Wow.
They blocked me because I guess they don't understand how Facebook works. It's like, you can block me if you want, but there's several hundred other people molesting your page right now that I have no real control over.
And I've bought some of their books before, and it's just that some people I know have worked for them, so I bought some of those books. And then, like you, I bought a couple of throwback books that they published. I bought a couple of Pink Panther comics because I liked the character growing up, and I wanted to see some of the work that they would do on him now. They weren't reprints; there was new stuff, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of promotion on their end for these things. It's very strange.
Yeah, there's no promotion. I don't know if they don't know how, or I mean, my best guess is they're stuck in 2005 and they don't understand how you have to promote now in 2019.
I got an idea. I think what Doug should do is offer first to run their Facebook page for them, and when they start to see maybe a small rise in sales there because people know that they exist, then you go and do Casper. Or I was looking at their lineup, and it was so abstract. It was like Casper, the Three Stooges, Zorro, which I thought was over at Dynamite. They have a Zorro book.
I can't understand if they actually have the rights to some of these characters or if they're just thinking they do.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, it all smells like something, in my younger days, gentlemen, you might find this hard to believe, but I had quite a mouth on me.
No.
and irritated my share of professionals. So it almost smells like is this somebody that I pissed off at some point? But as far as I know, I've never met any of these people. So
I don't know who they are.
Case.
I know a couple people. They gave me the names of the guy in charge of the company, but I reached out to them at one point trying to get an interview with them, and nothing happened. I don't know who the person is. I've never heard of them before, but
Yeah, they don't seem to want to promote their books or know how or understand
tax dodge.
Gift horse. They're looking to gift horse in the mouth. They didn't do anything with that influx of traffic to their site and their pages. They just ignored it. And none of my fans came on there and broke bad on them and said, "Hey, your books suck. You need this guy. Maybe he'll sell something." There was no rude comments. There was no links to my page like, "Hey, you guys want to go to this page instead." There was none of that. It was all people going to a public page of a publisher recommending an illustrator.
Yeah.
And they flat out ignored them and then deleted them all. And I don't know if they understand this or not, but there were about 5 different comic book stores in that thread, and one of them was a chain of 20 stores. You just deleted a store owner who has 20 stores in his chain. What are you idiots doing? And they didn't even say a polite thank you, but no, or this would have been smart. Like let's say they think I'm a scumbag, don't want anything to do with me, right? It would have been smart for them to go, you know what? We're very happy with the staff we have. Just check out the great work so-and-so is doing, and then post a page of their current book. That's what I would have done.
Yeah,
sure.
I would have said, you think this guy is good? Check this out. And then I would have posted my own stuff. Because then this influx of traffic is getting a good dose of what I am putting out. But instead, they just deleted it all. It's baffling. It's the dumbest thing you could have done.
They wished it away, Doug. They wished it away.
Did you pick up that free comic book?
I did not. Doug didn't draw it or write it, so I didn't want it.
Well,
There you go.
Well, it's in all honesty, not just because we know you here, and I know Arsenic Lullaby, and I love Arsenic Lullaby. I know it's not gonna be the same thing, but if you suddenly tomorrow were drawing, a book I don't read, any book that I don't read, I would pick it up because again,
like the Tick.
The Tick, yes. Well, he did work on the Tick at one point, but I'm saying anything. I'm saying if he did anything, because there's that name recognition, people go for that.
Yeah.
And they don't get it, and because I would never pick a Casper book up otherwise. But hey, you know what? Hey, we got to go do a couple public service announcements. Doug, where if everybody wants to check out Arsenic Lullaby, is it as simple as arseniclullaby.com?
That's right.
All
yes,
right.
sir.
So for the next 2 minutes while we are doing some public service announcements, go to www.arseniclullaby.com, check out Doug's stuff, and we'll be back in a couple minutes talking about some more good stuff.
This is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
Hey Jimmy, it's Jack Sullivan. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm playing the greatest music from the 50s and the 60s every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. on WESU 88.1 FM. We've got a live call-in line at 860-685-7700, 860-685-7700. Take care, Jimmy, and I'll get you that $50 I owe you real soon, okay?
Credit card debt, mortgage debt, loan debt. It's overwhelming. Sleep debt is another serious form of personal debt, and it grows when you don't sleep well or long enough. Insufficient sleep can lead to poor health and reduced quality of life. Fortunately, sleep debt is easy to pay off by taking a few simple steps. For information that truck drivers and companies can use to prevent sleep debt, visit www.healthysleepfortruckers.org. A message from CDC.
Chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands. When using the chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands. When using the chainsaw, do not attempt to stop the chain with your hands.
This message brought to you by WESU Middletown.
Walk away slowly.
He tried to bite me.
Never try to pet an animal you don't know. He may be lost, sick, or scared.
You mean he might be dangerous?
That's right. If we don't know, we leave him alone.
And we don't get bit. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
All right, WESUFM.org, 88.1, all the way to the left of your dial. Sir John and Johnny Ganache present Pint of Comics, starring Doug Paszkiewicz. Doug, what's happening? We are back again.
Hey, you're mine.
So, Doug, let's do this. Let's do this the right way. But I know you put a post up the other day. John has not seen it yet, and the Russo brothers, the directors and writers or whatever they are, said that starting tomorrow it's okay to start talking spoilers because they figure if you haven't seen it by now. So, spoiler free, Doug. You seem pretty excitable about Endgame. What did you think? Did you enjoy your popcorn and your soda in the theater, or were you ready to throw it at the screen?
I thought it was a giant pile of crap.
Now, before we get too far into it, did you enjoy the first half last year?
I thought Infinity War was maybe the best movie that the MCU ever put out. I thought that should have gotten a nomination for Best Picture of the Year.
Wow.
Like, legitimately. You think about the story, how it had to be written, all the moving parts. I mean, take the genre out of it. That was no less a spectacle than Cleopatra or the Ten Commandments.
Right.
Was it?
Big sweeping movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge sweeping movie, and they managed to have all the working parts work together. It had a lot of heart. I thought it should have been nominated for Movie of the Year. So I was a huge fan of the first half of it.
I don't agree all the way with you in terms of how much I liked it, but I did really, really enjoy the first half, and I agree with you. I was pretty like I keep telling people when I talk to people about it. To me, Endgame was at best like lower middle grade Marvel movie to me, and yeah, I don't know if it's kind of like, this happens every once in a while when a movie comes out that's so hyped that everybody gets swept into the hype of it. A few years ago, I remember when Force Awakens came out, everybody on social media loved Force Awakens, and then by the time Force Awakens came out on video, people were kind of like being honest with themselves. I'm really wondering if Endgame in about 3 months, people are going to start going, yeah, it really isn't that good.
I hope so, because I feel so alone.
I'm with you, Doug. I've been attacked by people, my friends online. Just not attacked, but just like, how could you think that? And I'm like, because it really wasn't that great of a movie.
That movie was the giant mess that I thought Infinity War was going to be.
So walking in, you thought Infinity War beat your expectations. And
yeah, I thought, because Infinity War, I thought they got 40 different characters. They got a villain we haven't seen before. This is going to be a giant mess. This is going to be a cluster heck, is what I thought.
I like your inclusion of heck over the F word. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to be a heckin' cluster heck. But it wasn't. It was very well done. And I didn't have very high expectations for this. I thought it was going to be an okay wrap-up, but it was just, it didn't follow its own rules. It had no heart. 15 minutes in, I didn't care what happened to anybody.
Wow, so you were dropped out immediately.
Yeah, there was a part midway. I think they put on their little white suits.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a spoiler because we've seen that in the trailer.
No.
They put their little white suits on, and I was thinking to myself, this can't be the movie. This can't be it. This can't be what they're going to do. But it was. And Monday morning, you guys, if you want, you can go to the blog. That 6 months ago, I wrote a parody, satire blog of what the movie could be, and it was what I said it was going to be.
Oh, so
this movie followed the satire that I made. Like I said, this and this will happen. I said, oh, it was a joke, and that's what they did.
Doug, do us a favor. Since tomorrow's the day, can you share that out again? Because I'm on the blog anyway. I'll share it out too, because I want to read that, and I want to have friends read that.
Yeah, I'll put that up tomorrow morning.
Maybe we'll get you preemptive credits. Right. Like a preemptive writing credit. Maybe you'll get some of that Disney cash.
Yeah. But it was just, I just didn't care. Nebula and Rocket are the only ones I cared about, but I think that was just spillover from previous movies.
Yeah, you just like Karen Gillan.
What's that?
You just like Karen Gillan.
Well, if that was the case, I would have cared about the Scarlet Witch. I didn't even care about her by the time the movie was done. That movie managed to get me to not care about Olsen.
Oh, that's saying a lot.
Who I was previously infatuated with.
Yeah,
I didn't even care about her anymore. I'm like, whatever. How much longer do I have to go? And I looked at my watch, and I had an hour and a half to go.
Doug is the only guy who, when he saw Endgame for the first time, went on multiple bathroom breaks. Everybody else is talking about, can you get through? Doug went 4 times.
just for something to do. I'm going to go listen to that hand dryer. It'd be more entertaining.
So you're saying I should go to a theater that has a bar when I go see this?
Yeah. And you can take that. You can take that potty break whenever you want. It does not matter. It sincerely does not matter, because anything you miss, it doesn't matter, because they don't follow their own rules anyhow. So if somebody explains something, it doesn't matter if you heard it.
Now these Russo brothers, they did Infinity War?
They did Infinity War. Their movies basically kind of jumped from the best Marvel movie, and then they kind of progressively got. They did Winter Soldier, which was the best Marvel movie to me and to a lot of people. And then they did the Civil War, which was not that great. Then they came back with Infinity War, which I did enjoy, and then they kind of
Well, I don't like Civil War as a plot point anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I thought Winter Soldier is probably the best.
Oh God, it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. So does this? Now you sound like you really hated it. Does this take your spot at the bottom of the MCU films, or is Thor: The Dark World there? What do you feel is the worst?
Oh, it's worse than Thor: The Dark World.
Wow, this is your bottom feeder now.
This is a bottom rung movie for sure, because it was a mess. It made no sense. It didn't follow its own. I can't. It is a spoiler, so I can't. But it didn't even follow the point of itself. It didn't. Like what? That was my reaction.
Yeah.
I give it 4. What?
I felt weird because we went to the theater, me and a couple of other guys, Lou and our friend Chris and Lloyd. And when the movie ended, we sat there because we sat through the credits for nothing to happen. We sat through the credits and we kind of were discussing it, and we were all underwhelmed. And there was this like packed theater of people crying and sobbing, and I'm just like, man, I'm maybe I'm out of touch here. And then I'm on social media the next day, and everybody's just like, I had one kid who's on my social media, not a friend, just someone I know, who went like 4 times in the opening weekend, and I'm like, what is going on with you people?
Did he buy those tickets in advance?
Good grief, that'd be punishment 4 times having to sit through that mess. Yeah, it had no heart. I don't know how anybody got upset. It must just be because they're so into the characters from previous movies.
Yeah.
Because I did not care what happened to pretty much anybody.
Was there
let's just get this over with.
Was there a antithesis to that movie, I guess? Maybe something you've seen recently in the movies or caught maybe on Netflix or something that was so good that at least maybe it kind of made you feel good?
The last good thing I saw was Russian Doll.
I've heard that was really good. That's Natasha Lyonne, right?
Yeah, that was. I watched that, and by the end, I genuinely cared what happened to these characters, which doesn't happen to me often.
Right.
To care about characters or even human beings. So the Grinch's heart grew 4 times during that binge watch. Like, I really felt something for these characters. I really cared about them. And then but Endgame didn't care. Just wanted it to end. Let's just get this over with.
Have you ever walked out of a theater, Doug? Have you ever been so disgusted with a movie that you just said, I don't care what I paid. I don't want a refund. I just don't want to be here anymore?
Yeah. The Kevin Smith movie about making comic books.
Which one?
Chasing Amy?
Chasing Amy.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
I walked out of that one.
That
might not have been the movie's fault. That was kind of starting in comic books, and they just like, you know what, I don't need to sit through this. Seen enough.
What did you walk out of, John?
Shocker.
Oh, Wes Craven Shocker?
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I sat through Second Sight, and I walked out of Shocker. So you tell me which one is worse.
Second Sight, like Bronson Pinchot and John Larroquette?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was an awful movie.
I think the only one I think I could ever remember walking out of was me and my dad went to the movies when I was in my teens, and it was Sean Connery as a doctor in the rainforest.
Oh, yeah.
Medicine Man.
Yeah.
About halfway through, my dad just went, "You want to go home?" I'm like, "Can we get ice cream on the way?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Let's go." It's terrible.
Who was his co-star in that?
Don't even remember. I don't remember.
Lou, look that up.
So what do you have? Do you have any? Now we talked about Casper. We talked that you had done some stuff for the Tick. Do you have any? I guess freelance stuff coming up? Any covers? Any stories? Anything like that?
Well, I did a cover for Devil's Due, Mercy Sparks, number 13. Did an alternate cover for that. But I'm kind of dialed back now and to just put out my own content for a while.
Okay, so just strictly
because
working.
I see the waters, I see the earth shifting beneath my feet here with Endgame coming out and what I think is going to be a crash. So I'm just going to focus on my own stuff because I still have the horror industry and comedy industry. So
yeah,
I can still be good. I can still be fine, but I need to focus on my content in order for that to work.
And going back to the crash of comics now, are you aware of the sales being done in other markets, the book sale markets, where these graphic novel people are putting books out and selling millions and millions of copies, and no one in the comics industry or even the stores is even vaguely aware of who these people are?
Give me an example.
Raina Telgemeier, she's got a series of books out that are consistently selling in the millions of copies.
No, I'm not aware of that,
Yeah.
but it makes sense.
It's
I think the graphic novel is a nice, it's a nice package.
Yeah.
It's something you can get online. It's a nice dollar amount. You get a good meaty book for that.
I mean, the sales of the graphic novel collections of our superhero comics, which honestly I don't even read much of the superhero stuff anymore myself, even those are starting to falter a little bit. you're seeing solicitations get canceled left and right as they repackage them in different formats to try and find a market.
Yeah, DC was putting volumes out and then canceling later volumes.
Well, that's right. Marvel's doing the same thing. So
that pisses me off to no extent because that makes me feel like if I bought the first one, if I buy one and there's supposed to be 6, I feel like that's a contract that you're going to make the next 5.
Right. Well, these are concepts that are 50, 60, 70 years old, these superheroes. And they made a lot of sense, and they were good fun if you're 5 in 1960. But I think it's lost its translation in the world we live in, and they beat that dead horse into a fine paste.
Now, you had said, I don't know how far you want to get into it, but you had said before that you have a PG-13 type of project that you're working on. Can you give us any idea what that is? Is it horror-y, sci-fi, comedy? What's that about?
Yeah, I can tell you the premise because the premise doesn't tell you anything.
Okay.
It's about a guy who hunts monsters.
Okay.
Which is, nothing new as far as that goes. Absolutely. I me's not a new concept. There's probably 5 books out right now that have that same basic premise. But it's character driven. It's a character that I have really worked out in my head, and the supporting cast is good. It's good, and it's funny, and it's weird, and it's hard to describe other than that until I start hammering out some actual issues on it.
It's unlike Arsenic Lullaby.
Something you're looking to get out in the next year or so, or are you still kind
of... absolutely. Yeah, soon. As soon as I can get it.
You looking to self-publish, or are you going through another company?
Initially, I'm going to try to go find a different home for it because it's PG-13, so I don't know how much sense it makes to pair it up with Arsenic Lullaby.
Right.
But I can do that too. Either way, whatever.
And your next Arsenic Lullaby story that you're working on, is it a trade size or is it a single issue?
It's a single issue. And maybe a couple of single issues. It depends on how much I can get done.
The last one, is that still available?
It's going to come out very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. So
and it's got a good meaty Voodoo Joe story in it. And I'll focus on him a little bit over the next year because I think that's a good solid character that everybody enjoys. So.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yeah. The one I picked up from you a couple years ago when we met in Rhode Island and we talked for a little bit and I brought the book home and just some of the stories. Your sense of humor is definitely I think a lot of people get your sense of humor, but it's something you don't always see on the page. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's an easy read too because when you think about it, you're like, I'm reading about a sentient donut, but it's still funny and it's like you're not even thinking about him being a donut. I don't know.
He's so human.
He's
right. Well, it's I hate the term "it happened organically," but it sort of happened organically. Like I hear people talk about story arcs and character development and blah blah blah. I don't have any of that. You're basically just reading about what a guy does for a day.
Right.
You're just following this character around for a couple of days, and then that's the end. The end.
And that's the fun stuff, because all the things that happened to the poor guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is how his day went.
And again, most of it is his own division. I mean, he creates his own misery most of the time. So.
Right. Well, that's all of us.
Right.
That's. Story arcs, the three chapters, or the three, what do you call that? 3-chapter story? Act story. That's not really what life is it? Life is you do something and it causes a bunch of other things that happen that you didn't expect, and somehow it ends. That's what life is.
I want that on my tombstone.
Right. There's no grand arc. There's no huge change in character. A bunch of stuff happens, and you get through it as best you can.
And it happens.
That's right.
All the time. Especially to Baron von Donut.
One of the things I like about Doug's art and Arsenic Lullaby so much is that, particularly I noticed it when I had met him at Rhode Island, is like a lot of your prints. I mean, it's. I want to compare it to like Far Side. Like a lot of it is just single panel like story. You know what I mean? Like you get the whole thing in that single panel. It's funny. It's out there, but you just need the one panel. That to me, is that harder for you to do some of those one shot jokes than it is to write like a 8-page story?
I wouldn't say harder. It's just two different ways of doing it. Like the one panel thing that's generally just something that popped in my head. You know, the story is in your head. Boom! Now you just draw it out, and those either come to you or they don't. And then the longer stories is where you take, okay, Voodoo Joe, I know this guy. You know, I know this character in my head very well. Let's stick him in a situation and imagine what he would do and what would happen then. And you sort of manufacture the jokes that way. So it's, I wouldn't say any harder or easier, just different.
Okay, so different process.
Yeah. One's a process, and the other one is just don't screw up this idea you got.
Right. Because in an 8-page story, you could probably still write 3 jokes that maybe don't fly, but if you have 10 in there that work, people are gonna forgive that. In a one-panel story, if the end result doesn't come out, then it's just like ugh.
Yeah, exactly. And with an 8-page story, you can build up. You can have those punchlines that take 3 or 4 pages to really hit you. Something happens at the end, and then you remember back on page 3, and then that's the joke.
Right. And since Arsenic Lullaby is you've got these different stories, and it's not just always about Voodoo Joe or Baron von Donut. Is it easier for you because you're not writing, I guess what's the word, like sequential storytelling? You have multiple stories in a single issue. Do you have stuff that you might have written 2 years ago that you just don't get into a volume, but you put it aside and you could just add it to the next volume very easily? Or do you want every volume to be, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm going to write everything for this current volume right now?
Oh, no, I definitely have stuff that, I won't get to for a couple of years.
Okay, so you have like a drawer of stuff that you want to put out.
Yeah, or there'll be, let's say a concept that I know I can make funny, but it's just not ironing out, and I'll come back to it later, and then come back to it later, and come back to it later, and then eventually you get it. Oh, I wrote that 3 years ago, basically.
And a lot of people that may not follow everything you do should know that you did work for Mad Magazine for a while, doing some strips there. Now, do you have those strips, or did they keep those?
They keep those.
They keep those, okay.
Yeah, they have the rights to those, essentially. Although I don't really know who's in charge there anymore. So
yeah, I don't think anybody does.
Is Mad still being published?
Yeah. It's a whole new Mad. They started with a whole new #1, and
they started it over under Bill Morrison,
yep.
who was a guy I like, and then I guess they fired him.
They fired him, yeah.
So now I don't know what's going on over there.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, but I have that nice sixth sense where I see the Earth shifting, and I just step away from the fault line. Oh, the whole thing went into the fault. Golly gee, that's too bad.
How long were you on Mad?
Oh, 6 or 7 years.
Okay, so
oh wow,
so people can go back and find back issues of Mad Magazine with some of your work in it.
Did you have was there like one particular column you had, or did you?
Yeah, it was called Just Below the Surface, and I would have a page. It'd be a one-page story.
Huh, I'll have to go back and check some of those out.
Yeah, and speaking of stuff, writing stuff. One of those stories I wrote when I was 16. And and doing stand-up comedy.
Really?
So that's nice, cashing a check on something you wrote when you're in high school. Hello, check. Thank you very much.
16-year-old Doug paid for 20-year-later Doug's dinner for a few times there.
Yeah, paid for a lot of booze for Doug to forget what happened between 16 and then. Thanks, 60-year-old me, and now I'm going to go on a bender and forget what 18-year-old me did, and 22-year-old me, and 24-year-old me.
Mad Magazine.
Gosh, that was a bad run. Well, bottoms up.
Did you ever do any work for Cracked magazine?
No, I think Crack was pretty much sunk by the time I was into it.
So Cracked is done.
Yeah.
I think they're done. I think they got bought up by by the publishers who did Maxim.
Oh God, really?
I think I don't. I'm fuzzy on all that, so don't quote me. But it's basically just like a clickbait website now. And they don't post the book.
I was going to say it went fully onto the web. Yeah. I don't go there, so.
No.
So
I've been on the website, but yeah.
I haven't picked up a Maxim in, 4
I
or
don't.
5
Do they still
years.
publish Maxim?
I don't know.
Yeah, do they still publish any magazines?
Yeah. Really?
They do. Because I was in a Barnes & Noble maybe about a month and a half ago, and I don't purchase magazines myself, but I was waiting for my wife to grab something.
$9 issue.
I walked over to the magazines, and they have 2 very full racks of magazines, and there were some that were, kind of like geeky magazines, comics and stuff, and I'm looking through them, and they're like $12. Yeah. Like, this is a problem right here. This magazine's $12.
For a magazine?
Yeah. Yeah, and not even like anything super, little more square bound maybe, but I mean, what are you going to do? Put it on a shelf? It's a magazine. You're done with it, it's going in the dumpster.
Right.
Or if you're John, you got a box of them in your basement somewhere.
I don't have a basement anymore.
Yeah, at one point.
I have a storage bin.
All right, Doug, we are coming to the end of the show. Do you want to give everybody your website again? And are you doing any other shows this year, or are you just sitting inside fighting off the SAD?
I'm just hammering away content until San Diego.
Oh, and you are going to San Diego.
So you can go to arseniclullaby.com, and I'll be there.
Yes, you will.
And not just because Doug's a great guy and a third-time guest. We can't recommend enough that if you have a twisted sense of humor and you want to read something absolutely different in comic books, go to that website and start checking stuff out.
It's fun.
And on the Pines recommendation, maybe put something in the old basket there and hit the buy button. Cause
there you go. Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, put some mother heckin' money into the old war chest.
Put some mother heckin' money in Doug's wallet. That's not from 16-year-old Doug. Let's get Doug his stuff together.
Yeah. Current Doug has run out of 16-year-old Doug's jokes to rehash, so we need to keep him fed while he makes new jokes.
Yeah, Doug, it's been great having you on again. I
thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Thank you.
Mother heckin'.
You have a mother heckin' good day.
You too.
You too.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Doug.
Bye.
Always fun, man. Doug is he's excitable, man.
Oh, I gotta love it.
Remember the time we had him on? We were talking about he got really heated about the AT-ATs and Star Wars.
That's one thing we didn't bring up with Star Wars, but that's okay. That's okay. It is the tail end of the show. We should probably bring up.
Why don't you bring it up,
Drive?
Why don't you beg for money?
Yeah, because it is. This radio station is 80 years old, and we always need a little bit of an influx of cash when it comes to helping out and paying for things, new equipment, or
because you know what the equipment here is like right now.
Sometimes it's working today very well.
Yeah, no, we've had no ear piercing sirens that have blown anybody's ears out.
But if you'd like to donate to WESU, please go to www.wesufm.org, find that pledge button, and give us a couple of shekels because we could use it here. And let us know, let the station manager know that you're listening to Pina Comics and you've donated in our name because that would be really cool.
That'd be very cool. We'd appreciate it.
Because you liked the mother hecking show that we put on.
And coming up in a few moments, 7:30, show number 9,745,000.
Speaking of,
next week is our 100th show.
100th show.
Doug was here for 99, 100th show.
Yep.
We will be here on Mother's Day. So Billy's mom will be here too. His mom's always here on Mother's Day. Beforehand, he said she was going to be here.
Right.
He said so. Right. So until then, we will talk to you. But coming up next, again, it's as he says in the promo, Dead Air. It's Dead Air, the world's most dangerous live Grateful Dead show. And until next week, we'll see you.
See ya. We are leaving.